What is up, guys, gals, and ghouls? Gals here with that ass serious, and it looks like we finally figured out how males give birth. Aliens are luckily merciful enough to cut us open to get the job done. But let's go ahead and dive into the episode this week. It was entitled Blue Moon. So it's 1954, and black male and threats of Mamie's hairline on the walls makes Ike sign the agreement allowing American abductions to take place. Next thing you know, we're in 1957. Tricky Dicky, Ike, and others are discussing the people being taken, some as young as 9 years old. That's when Valiant Thor makes his grand entrance, and is apparently a relative of Kathy Bates from Apocalypse. He gives Ike the world's first iPod, and he comes to discuss the processing, so to speak. He ushers in an age of peace and harmony with the technology that he's bringing. And my ass, like, they probably knew what they were doing. Aliens probably helped invent social media. Like, I don't believe anything that they have to say at this point. We are showing the technology that we're receiving. It's going a lot further than fiber optic cables and Velcro. Like, they are bringing in the technology that we have nowadays. They were introducing this in like the 50s and 60s. It's crazy to imagine shit like your cell phone being around in your grandparents' time. But Ike and Mamie are talking, and not only can they not see eye to eye, but she can't seem to get her priorities straight. She's still mentally competing with Eleanor Roosevelt, that old basset hound, rather than having a conscience. Ike finds out the White House tunnels are being used for what people think Planned Parenthoods are being used for. Dude was the screamer, the respiratory test subject, because that elevator that Ike gets in went down some ways, and you could still hear him up in the White House. It sounds like the tests were a success, if you ask me. The android attempted humor as well, with Val telling him the air ducts are delivering more sound than air. Cody Fern has a way of delivering his lines this episode that are alien, and still it's landing. He's doing it for me. And he offers sound advice to any president to watch that military budget. Aliens think the president's a speciesist, and that he's going to call off the agreement if we saw their true form. Ike says that he might anyway. Val tells him that that would be a bad idea because they'll be taking what they want by force if so, and they're going to show the American people that basically you were letting this happen and you knew about it, so just go along with it. Nothing bad will happen, or worse. Anyway, Carolyn Gibbs, the 9-year-old, is under the White House, and Mamie doesn't give a shit. Like, she is still just about making Halloween an adult affair, convincing Ike that the vents are fixed rather than acknowledging the situation that's going on in her fucking basement. Valiant, now Val to Mamie, wants to expand the efforts as well. She floats the idea of giving them Arizona as a whole, but this gives Ike an idea to give them Area 51. And it's a trip. The amount of things that are happening this season that you see shows like Ancient Aliens bringing up and theorizing and conspiracy theorizing about, and it all just fits. Like, it fits really well into place to where I'm like, at this point, it seems like Ryan Murphy's just divulging all these national secrets just because he can, and they're so fucking out there. But goddamn if it doesn't fit like a puzzle piece just satisfyingly like slipping into place. It all just feels like they're just telling us because who's gonna fucking believe it? So the deal does go off, giving them Area 51, but so does Mamie, all over Val, comparing him to her personal massager. She says that it's not cheating. Even if it was, it wouldn't fucking matter anyway because Ike was cheating on her himself. I can't say she's not justified, but she rubbed salt in the wound by saying that he loved her fudge. That shit was a step too far. Sometime later, Marilyn Monroe's getting a little too Marilyn mouthy, and what a tragic arc for that character. Like, we see that she supposedly had interacted or ran into aliens when she was a kid. She was terrified of them her whole life, and then she comes to find out from a president that she is having an affair with that it's really happening. And she gets taken, and the weird part is that they send the Men in Black, and they just send one alien just to like freak her out for no other reason than to be like, hey, you were completely right in being scared your entire fucking life of these things. But then you also had the Men in Black to be scared of too. And they're coming in, they're just giving the neck pen to everybody they fucking can. But in the meantime, we do see she gets taken out, straight up murdered. Like, I felt so bad for her character. But we see her get taken out. A year later, Ike, Nixon, and Lyndon Johnson are meeting Valiant Thor. He's here to show our boys how the world works, basically. And they do not take too kindly to it. Like, I don't know why they're keeping all these dead specimens around, but it just kind of is what it is. I don't know why they didn't just burn them or do something with them. Like, launch them into space for all they care. But then we cut back to modern times. We see that Troy gave birth, and it was the closest specimen to perfect that they've had so far, but it was still a failure with them big ass eyes that it had. And so they just slit its throat and tossed its ass in a garbage tank. But Troy says, or Troy has what can only be explained as like a mother's strength. He sees his baby in danger, even though he was under the the spell of Theta. It didn't matter. He still got up, and that reminded me of something that a mother would do. So like the fact that Troy is very much about being a parent, like I found that endearing about his character. It was just like nice to see a guy could get that invested in his kid if it came from him. He felt it growing inside of him. He was the first man to do so, apparently, but that is completely foreign to men, not an American Horror Story. So to see him like embrace it, it was nice. It was naive. It was we later came to see, because these things are still aliens. There's nothing natural about us giving birth when we don't have a uterus or anything in us, and they just wake up with a baby inside of them, but they just roll with it. That was endearing and very what the fuck. Like, I don't know if I would be so like, oh, it's my baby, let's take these maternity photos about it. But he was all for it, so props to him. Calico, she hears him crying about really crying over the baby. She comes to berate him into like bucking the fuck up, basically, and like, get with the program. This isn't what we're here for. We are here to be mongrels. Like, we are here to be breeding machines. She calls them an integral link in the chain of celestial evolution. She's popped out 2 to 3 pups a year since 1969. She doesn't give a fuck. She does not care. But Kaya Gerber asks like how she hasn't gone insane at that point, and I can't really say that she hasn't. She's just kind of accepted her circumstances. She takes him to her special place, aka the fucking moon landing, and she explains that conspiracy theories, like she explains all these things away like it's nothing. Like Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong not being on the moon landing. She's telling them about Stanley Kubrick like filming the moon landing and it being faked altogether, him getting free reign in Hollywood after the fact. And she just, like, I love that they are explaining all this. There's really no other way to do it than to literally sit people down like she's doing and exposition the fuck out of it, which I'm glad it's happening. I wish that they could have shown us rather than tell us, but they have a lot to try and tell in 4 episodes, so I am like not very glad that it's 4 episodes this season, but we're getting what we're getting, and I'm happy with it so far. So Calico, we see her working back in the day. She's looking like a seasoned pro at her job. And when we see Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, who should be some couple thousand miles away, like at that moment, they both get slammed, blab everything to her, winds up getting her ass abducted and inducted into a very exclusive club. And those men in black, they love their little knockout pens because they get her ass like twice in 5 minutes. She's been stuck there ever since, and now these 4 our heroes will be. And then we see the boys, they're trying to keep the second baby. Troy is like, I will cut it out of you. We're not going to think about what to do after the fact, because that was my first question. It's like, where the fuck is the staple gun? Troy offers to do the C-section, goes surprisingly well. But before you can say, like, let's stitch him up, doc, Troy gets his face mistaken. Or no, not Troy. The other guy gets his face mistaken for a titty, and his own kid takes him out. Like, it goes to show, like, I give him props for trying, but holy fuck, man, even the alien babies don't like us. Like, there's something up with this whole thing. And they talk about in the trailer for next week, the perfect specimen should be coming somewhere around approximately 2021. So I think we all know at this point Kaya Gerber is probably going to be the one having the perfect specimen. Don't know what's going to come after that. Like, that is what the aliens want, but we don't know what is going to happen after the fact. Are they going to clone that one, put their, make it like a hollow shell that the actual alien little blob things can live in? Like, we don't know their end game yet, but I'm looking forward to the end of the season, what's coming, what questions that they can wrap up for us. I got my big question answered of how the dudes are going to give birth, and nobody had the messy, gooey penis birth that I thought they were going to have. So I'll take the happy ending as far as that goes. But let me know what questions you guys have after this episode. What are you looking forward to going into the season finale? And post your comments below. Let me know what you think. Get at me on Twitter at @DeadassSeriousD. I'll catch you guys next time.